Hi, I'm Allie, the hands behind the turtle trunk, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this amigurumi papaya. If you're following along with the Pregnancy Progress Project, this is week 22 when baby and papaya are both about 11 inches long. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Now let's get started. For today's tutorial, you will need medium weight yarn in the colors orange, green, and black, a 4mm or G hook, fiber fill stuffing, yarn needle and scissors, and optional supplies include two 10mm black safety eyes and black crochet thread. We're going to start with our orange yarn and we're going to chain 5. So we're going to start with a slip knot and then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For row 1, we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So that's 1 and 2. So single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to single crochet across. That'll be 2, 3, and 4. We're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 2, again, we're going to single crochet across. So 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So at the end of row 2, our stitch count will be at 4. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And in the first stitch, we are going to work 2 single crochets. So 1, 2, and then in the next 2 stitches, we're going to work 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and in the very last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets. So 1 and 2, and at the end of round 3 we will have 6 single crochets across. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 4 we are going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So that's 6 single crochets across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at the end of row 4, we'll have 6 stitches across. We're going to chain 1 and turn. For row 5, we're going to work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1, 2. We're going to work 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets. 1, 2. So at the end of row 5 we will have 8 single crochets. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and for row 7 we're going to work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. 1, 2, and then we're going to single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and into the last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And at the end of round 7 we'll have 10 single crochets. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So at the end of round 8 we're going to have 10 single crochets across, and we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now for row 9, we are going to work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. then 1 single crochet into the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're just going to work 2 single crochets into that last stitch. So at the end of row 9, our stitch count should be at 12. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And now on to row 10, we're going to work 2 single crochets into that first stitch, 1 single crochet into the next 10 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then we're going to work 2 single crochets into that last stitch. So at the end of row 10, our stitch count will be at 14. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. So for row 11, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and we're going to repeat that until the end of row 18. So all the way from rows 11 to 18, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So our stitch count is going to stay at 14, and when we reach the end of each row, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then just repeat. So this is row 11. I'm just going to work 14 single crochets across, and when I reach the end, I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm just going to repeat that again. 14 single crochets across, and I'm going to do that all the way to the end of row 18. So I'm just going to carry on, and I'll catch up with you guys at the end of row 18. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 18. So at the end of row 18, we should still have 14 single crochets across. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 19, I'm going to work 2 single crochets into the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and in the last stitch I'm going to work 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now on to row 20. So for row 20, we're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and we're going to repeat that into the end of row 32. So just working 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and each of those rows will have a stitch count of 16. So 16 single crochets across. When you reach the end, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and repeat 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So just coming up to the end of row 20. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'm just going to continue working 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and I'm going to do that into the end of row 32. So I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to catch up with you guys at the end of round 32. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 32. So at the end of row 32, our stitch count should still be at 16. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're on to row 33. For row 33, we are going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2. So single crochet 2 together. And then we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We should have 2 stitches left. So we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. And at the end of row 33, our stitch count will now be at 14. And chain 1 and turn. And for row 34, we're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. And then work 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We should have 2 single crochets left. Sorry, 2 stitches left. So we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. And at the end of row 34, our stitch count will now be at 12. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2. Then work 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We should have 2 stitches left, so we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. And our stitch count will now be at 10. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now for row 36, we are going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. For row 37, we're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. So at the end of row 37, our stitch count will be at 6. And so we're pretty much done the front of our papaya there, but we're just going to single crochet around the border of it to kind of help smooth out the edges. So to do that, I'm just going to continue where I left off, and I'm going to chain 1. And just now working back down the side, I'm going to work 1 single crochet into each of the rows. So just work 1 single crochet into each of the rows. I'm just going to continue this all the way around. So I'm going to speed through this, and I'm going to catch up with you guys when we reach the very top of the papaya. So I'm just about to hit the very top, and when I get there, when I get to the very first stitch at the top, I'm going to work 2 single crochets into that stitch, and that's just going to help turn the corners smoothly. Okay, so then I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in each of the stitches on the top, and then when I reach that last one, I'm going to work 2 single crochets into that corner again. 1 and 2. And then we're just going to go back to working 1 single crochet in each of the rows. So I'm just coming up to the bottom of the papaya, and we're just going to do what we did at the top and work 2 single crochets into that corner just to help turn it, then 1 single crochet into each of the stitches across, and then when we get back to the beginning, I'm just going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we made, chain 1, and I'm going to tie off, pull that loop, and pull that tight to secure it. So that's going to be the front of our papaya. And now we're going to add the seeds on it. So I'm going to grab my black yarn, and how much you need totally depends on how many seeds you want to put on the front. So all we're going to do is we're going to take a long strand of black yarn and our yarn needle. Thread your needle. And if you look at a papaya, sometimes the seeds cover up the majority of it. Sometimes it's just a small amount on the bottom. So it's really up to you on how much you want to do. I'm going to make sure that I leave enough space on the top so that I can add the face. So I think I'm just going to kind of work in this area right here. And I'm going to start at the back, and I'm just going to thread my black yarn through. And just working up one stitch, I'm going to pull my black yarn through like this. So that just makes like a little seed shape. And I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around here. I'm kind of working all the way around in different directions so that they're not all just facing up and down. Some are going to be facing sideways, different angles, and just make it look like little seeds. So this is going to be a little tedious, but I think it will look really good. I'm just going to keep going around. And yeah, you can really do it however you want. Add as many or as few, and make as big or as small as you want to. So you can really do what you'd like. So I'm just going to continue doing this. I'm going to speed through it, and I'll catch up with you guys when I'm all done. So I'm going to grab my safety eyes and the backings, and then my crochet thread and my yarn needle. So I'm just going to figure out a good place to put these. I'm just going to put them in, add the smile, and see if I can get them to be pretty centered. Maybe up here. Alrighty, that's pretty good. So I added the eyes between rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, between rows 10 and 11. And then with the crochet thread, I just brought it up beside one eye, down one stitch, and then up beside the other eye, and then back through the middle. And that looks pretty even to me. So I'm just gonna tie up my crochet thread in a couple secure knots. And I don't like to do it too tight, so make sure you're not pulling too tightly. And maybe one more. I'm just going to cut the excess and then put the backings on my safety eyes, making sure they're nice and secure. Alrighty, so now we are going to move on to the back part of our papaya. So I'm going to grab my green yarn and just set this aside for now. And for the backing, it's actually going to be made the same way we made the front. So we're just going to repeat those instructions. So with our green yarn, we are going to start with a slip knot. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and single crochet in each chain across. So at the end of row 1, we'll have 4 single crochets across. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 2, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So at the end of row 2, we'll still have 4 single crochets across. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. For row 3, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then 2 single crochets into the last stitch. And at the end of row 3, we'll have 6 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn, and just work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So at the end of row 4, we'll have 6 stitches across still. Chain 1 and turn. And for row 5, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 single crochets in the last stitch, 1 and 2. And at the end of row 5, we'll have 8 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. We're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we still have 8 single crochets across. For row 6, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 7, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. So at the end of row 7, we'll have 10 single crochets across. We're going to chain 1 and turn. For row 8, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. At the end of row 8, we'll have 10 single crochets across, chain 1 and turn. For row 9, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in the last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets. And at the end of row 9, we'll have 12 single crochets across. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And for row 10, we're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and in the last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and at the end of row 10 we'll have 14 single crochets across. We're going to chain 1 and turn, And now for row 11, we're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and we're going to repeat that all the way into the end of row 18. So for rows 11 through 18, we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across. So each of those rows will continue to have 14 single crochets across. And then when you reach the end of each row, chain 1 and turn, and repeat for that row. So we're just coming up to the end of row 11, chain 1 and turn, and just work 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So I'm going to meet you guys at the end of row 18. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 18. So at the end of row 18, our stitch count will still be at 14. So for row 19, chain 1 and turn. We're going to work 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and in the last stitch we're going to work 2 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. And now for row 20, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and we're going to repeat that into the end of row 32. So for rows 20 all the way through to the end of row 32, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and our stitch count is going to stay at 16 for each of those rows. And then when you reach the end of each row, we're just going to chain 1 and turn, and then continue on. So I'm going to catch up with you guys at the end of row 32. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 32. So at the end of row 32, we should still have 16 stitches across. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now on to row 33. So for row 33, we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Then work 1 single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. So at the end of row 33, our stitch count will now be down to 14. Chain 1 and turn. For row 34, we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're going to single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. For row 35, we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. We're now on to row 36. We're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. And for row 37, which is our last row, we're going to single crochet 2 together in the first 2 stitches. Work 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches. So at the end of row 37, we should have 6 stitches across. And now we're going to repeat what we did with the front, and we're just going to work single crochet in each row around the back of the papaya, and working 2 in each of the corners. So I'm just going to chain 1 and start working back down, working 1 single crochet into each row, and then 2 in each corner, and then 1 in each of the stitches on the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to continue this around, and I'm going to meet you guys back where we started. So I'm just coming up to where we started. Slip stitch into that very first single crochet we worked. And now I'm going to single crochet the back to the front. So I want this to be the opposite of the front, so that when I single crochet them together, they're going to line up perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then I'm going to grab the front of my papaya, and with the right side facing out, I'm just going to place that on top. Okay. So it's going to be like this. So we'll place it on bottom actually. And so these line up, they should line up perfectly. So now what I'm going to do is with the green yarn, I'm going to insert it into the next stitch and put it into the corresponding stitch on the front of the papaya. And now we're just going to single crochet around the entire border, working in both the front and the back to single crochet them together. So just work 1 single crochet into each stitch around, making sure that you're working in both the front and the back. So you should be working in 4 loops at a time. I'm just going to continue that around, all the way around. And again, I'm going to work 2 single crochets in each of the corners, and that's just going to help turn the corners so it doesn't squish them. So I'm just going to continue around, working 1 single crochet in each of the 4 loops all the way around, working 2 in each corner. And I'm just going to speed through this, and I'm going to stop about 3/4 of the way through so that we could fill the papaya with our fiber fill stuffing. So I'm just going to speed through this and meet you guys there. So I'm just going to stop here and add my fiber fill stuffing before this hole gets too small. So I'm going to grab a few handfuls, making sure that you push it all the way to the top. You can fill it as much or as little as you'd like, depending on how stiff or how squishy you'd like it to be. I think that's as much as I'm going to do, so then I'm just going to continue single crocheting the 2 pieces together. So I'm just coming up to the last couple stitches. This is the last one. So when you reach the last one, I'm just going to slip stitch in the very first single crochet that we made, chain 1, grab my scissors, and leaving about a 6-inch tail, cut that off. I'm going to pull my loop up and pull tight. And I'm just going to grab my yarn needle and weave in this end. I'm just going to make sure I'm doing it on the green side so it blends in. I'm just going to weave it in a couple times and then just hide the end in the back here. So I'm just going to cut off my excess. And there we go. Thank you so much for following along, and I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you a part of the Turtle Trunk family. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to tag me in your photos so I can see your finished papaya. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.